It is daily delivery debate time with Star Tribune columnist Velle E. Neal III. Velle, how are you?
Weary. I woke up at 1:30 this morning. Started reading to read myself to sleep. Next thing I know, it was 5:15 a.m. So
Oh man,
I've been up all night reading, basically.
well, you had a different night than I did. We had one of our daughters had a hard time falling
One of those
asleep
nights.
last. Yeah, our daughter had a hard time falling asleep last night, and so I was like in there with her, and then I was so tired that I fell asleep in her bed with her for like half the night, and then I woke up at like 4 a.m. and went into our bed. So we're something was up, Lavelle. I don't know what it was, but something was up. Neither one of us slept great, but we'll be okay.
What moon was there last night? I can't figure out what the moon was.
It's a good question. I don't know. We got to figure that out, but we also got to figure out a few of these sports topics, including Lavelle. What is going on with the Knicks coaching search? Apparently, they've been trying to poach all these sitting head coaches. They got shot down by the Mavericks with Jason Kidd. We learned that Wednesday. They got shot down with Ime Udoka from the Rockets, and they got shut down by Chris Finch and the Timberwolves. What are they doing coming after Finchy? What's all this about? And why would the Wolves say anything but hell no to that?
This isn't Premiership soccer, and they are not Manchester United, where you could just go and pluck someone from a lower team in your same division and bring them up to coach your big squad. The Knicks do not have that type of cachet. They just had back-to-back 50-win seasons under Tibbs, but they're not kings of this mountain by any stretch of imagination. So I think they're kind of overstepping their boundaries by doing this, but they created this mess by hiring and firing Tibbs, because we all know what type of coach Tibbs is. He's going to run his starters into the ground. There's going to be usage issues, but they're going to win. And the winning comes at a cost. And we saw that in how Brunson was handled and how Brunson wore down and how other players couldn't get into his closely guarded sacred rotation. But yeah, I mean, if you want to try to hire a coach, you do look at someone like Chris Finch. The Wolves have been to the playoffs 4 straight years. You could argue that he is the most successful coach in the franchise's history.
For sure.
He's got definitely a winning record, although I believe he has a 500 record in the postseason. He would be desirable. I don't blame the Knicks for inquiring, but at the same time, there's a who do you think you are a little aspect to this about how could they just think we can call Houston and talk to Udoka, or call the Mavericks and talk to Jason Kidd, and also just go to flyover country Minnesota, and we'll just take Chris Finch. They're not the Yankees, they're the Knicks. They barely were getting on the back page of the sports sections there. They were just starting to do so with Thibodeau. But you reap what you sow. You fired Tibbs, and now you got to go find a coach, and you have to go find someone who probably does not have a job or reach down into the college ranks.
Yeah, well, I think your point is a good one. Like, who do they think they are? Because these are coaches who have had success other places. Like Udoka was obviously in Boston before this and was kind of some of the architect of what was going on there. And now he's taken Houston to a good spot, even though they lost, right away in the playoffs this year to Golden State. Kidd took the Mavericks to the finals 2 years ago. Finch has gone to back-to-back Western Conference finals. But these coaches and teams are probably pretty happy with their guys, and none of them are saying, "Hey, we want to do this." So I don't know. From the Wolves standpoint, it's a little bit interesting, just because you would hear not like dissatisfaction with Finch from anybody who really matters, but there's like a smattering of Wolves fans who are like, "Hey, rotations this, playing time this, adjustments that." I don't think they're in any. They have no desire to go a different route. But you do wonder, like, new ownership group, you think about at some point, do they want to make a splash hire? But this is just not the time for anything like that. The Knicks got to read the room and say, who can we realistically get? And Chris Finch is not that guy.
It sounds like to me they had not put together a short list of coaches options before they fired Tibbs. So they're doing this on the fly. So I don't know what Leon Rose is up to, thinking he can just go through his Rolodex of clients through the years and find someone. You always have to have a doomsday plan in your drawer for when bad stuff happens. You have to make tough decisions, so you know who you're going to look at, go after as a coaching option. So I think the Knicks have blundered in that regard. So, and frankly, if I'm Finch or Udoka or Kidd, why am I going to go to New York? They just fired a coach after winning back-to-back 50 games. You know, we're in the era now where coaches are getting whacked even when they're having successful seasons. Forget that. You know, you have a good thing where you're at. You're making a lot of money, and you're not in New York. So why would I go anyway?
This reminds me of, to a certain degree, not the market so much, but remember when the Gophers and Norwood Teague fired Tubby Smith, like a dozen or so years ago, and we were so sure that they had some great plan in place beyond that. Like, Norwood's got all these connections with Shaka Smart. He coached at VCU. He's part of this kind of coaching program. Velle 7. We made a huge program.
Yes,
Velle 7. Don't forget about Velle 7.
I started with Sector 7, but that was Transformers. I'm sorry.
Can we get Billy Donovan? Like, all these like pie in the sky names were floated out there until they settled on like their seventh choice, Richard Pitino, who turned out to be a fine coach. I think he did a pretty good job here, and has done a really good job, at New Mexico, and now has moved on. But if you look at it, it's like it felt like you assumed they had a plan, and then they just didn't, and it's baffling when you find out that someone didn't have a great plan. Like,